There'll be some opportunity, but the focus is entirely on the trial at this time, and it's a difficult time for our family because of that. I also, one of my main purposes in going was just personally, I wanted to be able to hear the IDF side of the story. We were asked very early on whether or not we would want to meet any of the military that were involved in killing Rachel, and I've always said, yes, that's true. I've told our U.S. government that if given the opportunity to meet the bulldozer driver, that's something I would want to do. I know it would be very difficult and very challenging, but I think it's a step that I would have to be open to. And now I feel like it's been a real violation that in the time that was set to go to see those soldiers hopefully testify, hopefully they would be called, that opportunity is not going to be available to me, and I don't know whether or not I'll be able to travel back when the government presents its side. So, it's going to be a challenging time when we're there.
Do you know, Craig, if the man who drove the bulldozer will be there?
We don't know that. If he comes, it'll be because the state calls him as a witness, and that'll allow our attorney to cross-examine him, and we certainly hope that he comes. As Sarah alludes, there's another way to handle some of this. We would like to meet that person. There are lots of victims, Amy, when you look at a war and what happens. And we lost Rachel, and that hurts every day. But that bulldozer driver lost a lot of his humanity when he crushed Rachel. We're told by B'Tselem, for instance, that in 2004, I believe, the highest, the cause proportionally of deaths among Israeli soldiers, the highest one is suicide. There's a big toll to soldiers, and I guess I have to hold out my hand in some way that if that man could understand what he's done in terms of our loss, if he could mourn our loss of Rachel, I could mourn his loss of humanity. There's a lot of steps, as Sarah says, that would have to happen that way. But yeah, I'd like to meet him. It's not about trying to put him in jail. It doesn't do me any good if his children don't have a father, if he has children. But some way, like Desmond Tutu talks about, of mending the tear in society. And I think it's more like a wound in your arm, and to expect that one half of a wound would heal and the other half stay unhealed is impossible. Both halves have to heal.
Cindy.
I think it's important for people to understand that this lawsuit, as Craig said in the beginning, was it's one step, one piece of what we've been doing in the past 7 years. And we did pursue answers diplomatically. We worked with the State Department, tried to work with the Israeli government to get answers to our questions early on. It was actually in the Department of State quite early that the suggestion was made that we sue the Israeli military and the Israeli government as a way to address this. But it wasn't.
The State Department suggested that.
It was through the State Department that the suggestion initially was made for us.
This was during the Bush years.
This was during the Bush years.
It's our first meeting actually in the State Department in June of 2003, and we were discussing trying to get an independent investigation. And Lawrence B. Wilkerson, Larry Wilkerson, so Chief of Staff to Colin Powell, turned to me and he said, if it was my daughter, I'd sue them. I don't care about money. I wouldn't care about anything. I would sue the State of Israel. And we were surprised.
And I think that was reiterated. We didn't file the final lawsuit almost up until the last minute that the statute of limitations would wear out, because we wanted to do this diplomatically. We thought, given the relationship of the United States with Israel, that there was the means to resolve this diplomatically, and no family wants to go through a lawsuit in these kind of matters. And my father and I actually met with Larry Wilkerson, and I believe it was December 2004. And again, that statement of filing a lawsuit was reiterated. And we did file the lawsuit then in the spring of 2005.
Yeah. You have lost a lawsuit against Caterpillar.
Yes.
The company that made the tractor that crushed your daughter that the Israeli military used. What were the grounds of that suit and the rejection of it, the denial of it?
And that suit was brought in U.S. court and in Western Washington. That some people really misunderstand the direction of it. In international law, there is the obligation to hold corporations accountable if they sell their products, continue to sell their products, knowing that human rights violations, a pattern of human rights violations, are occurring with their equipment. And Caterpillar Corporation had been on notice for years that their Caterpillars were being used to harm Palestinians, to destroy their homes, but also to take their lives. Rachel was not the only person on that lawsuit. There were a number of Palestinian families. I've been to the gravesite of a Palestinian family in Nablus. I recognized the name when I was walking through the grave site of a family, 8 family members that were destroyed when their house was demolished with Caterpillar equipment on top of them. It isn't that Caterpillar sold a piece of equipment and then something bad happened. It's that Caterpillar continues to sell the equipment knowing that their equipment is being used for human rights violations. Now, in the case was dismissed in Western Washington in the district court there, but was appealed to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. And in their ruling, the Ninth Circuit Court upheld the decision of the lower court, primarily because the U.S. government entered into the discussion, and there is separation of powers. And the court did not discuss the merits of the case at all, but said that they were cognizant of the fact that political question is the legal term for this, but that cognizant of the fact that if they ruled against Caterpillar Corporation or address this, that they could be implicating the United States because of its role in funding all of this equipment. So they were cognizant of the fact that they also would be possibly intervening in terms of who has the right to make these decisions within our own government. It's a separation of powers question.
You will be going to Israel at the same time as the vice president. He's in Israel for the week. Now, interestingly, Joe Biden, as senator, raised the question of the death of your daughter. Can you explain the circumstances of this, Cindy Corrie?
Yes. You know, during the course of the last 7 years, our family visited nearly every congressional office, my extended family, and of course many constituents brought Rachel's case before congressional members when we were trying to get a resolution passed for an American investigation, HCR 111. But we visited every congressional office. So President Obama's office as senator was visited by members of our family. Also,
did you meet with them?
We talked. Craig asked questions of Obama during the Iowa campaign season. We were in Atlantic, Iowa, when he was speaking there, and he knew about Rachel's case.
Before then, I asked about Biden. Okay, Craig, what did you ask?
Well, actually, it was a
president-to-be.
Yeah, we
Obama.
It was strange because we were in Atlantic, Iowa, so western part of Iowa, farmland, huge farmland. We're in county fairgrounds in a cow barn, and I'm sitting on a fence behind the crowd, and the president-to-be, Obama, is actually asking people for questions, and he called on me. And so I asked a very easy question because I just simply said, I have friends in Palestine whose homes are being destroyed, whose farms are being taken from them by the Israelis with no compensation. And I also have, and it's true, I have Israeli friends who have lost family members in suicide bombings and stuff. So what could he do to protect the farms of my friends in Palestine and also assure my friends in Israel that there wouldn't be any more suicide bombings? And then I told him why I was interested in the case and about Rachel's killing there. And he recognized the name of Rachel Corrie. He was familiar with that without an aide or his wife or somebody explaining it to him. And so he went on about 5 minutes of talking about what was necessary. And essentially a two-state solution is what he said for that. And giving his commitment to a viable, contiguous state of Palestine alongside the state of Israel, and living in peace and dignity and having a future for their people. So it was pretty much a standard U.S. stated foreign policy, not